I've seen a lot of talk about being California sober, which, if you don't know what that is, the watered down version is you stop drinking, but you still use other substances. So it made me wonder if there's a version of California sober for gambling. Like, I know guys who haven't completely stopped gambling. Instead, they create these insanely specific rules to try and control it. Like, they delete the sportsbook apps, they don't allow themselves to gamble online, they can only place bets in person at a physical casino. And I understand the logic. You can't chase a loss from your couch if you're placing bets at the casino. You can't make another deposit every second. You can't bet on every pitch, possession, or point from your phone. But then you look at what's actually happening, where you're waking up early and driving to the casino at 7 a.m. before work just to place your bets for the day, and you're doing it 3 or 4 times a week. And the thing is, you're still spending your nights studying the games that are coming up tomorrow and planning your schedule around when you can get to the sports book, and then spending the rest of the day checking scores. So maybe you've made gambling less convenient, maybe you've slowed down how quickly you can lose money, but gambling is still controlling your entire day. And personally, I don't think that works long term. I believe that if you're going to stop gambling, you have to full stop, because it's way too easy for those rules to slowly start changing. First, you can only bet at the casino, then maybe you place one bet on a friend's phone, then you find an app you haven't self-excluded from, then you find an online casino or an offshore sportsbook where your state self-exclusion doesn't apply, and before you know it, you're right back to where you started. That was always the problem for me. Every rule eventually became negotiable. Every boundary eventually moved, and once I started gambling again, I wasn't trying to gamble responsibly. I was trying to get the feeling back. There's also a big risk of cross-addiction. Like, you stop gambling, but you might start drinking more, smoking more, compulsively trading options, shopping, really just chasing anything else that gives you the same escape, adrenaline, or dopamine hit. I'm not saying everyone's recovery has to look like mine, and I understand that harm reduction may be a starting point for some people. But for me, recovery couldn't mean finding a more complicated way to keep gambling. It had to mean being done. Because my gambling would use every loophole that I left open, and eventually that loophole becomes a doorway and you're back to square one.